And we are going free. Happy Easter and white well-being to all of you. A good Sunday evening, Monday morning as well to everybody. How is everyone here today? I see Joseph, Greek American. Raymond is here. Great to see you. JK160, like comedies. Apollo, Greek American. Captain Penguin. So many good folks, even though we are all censored as hell and on White Wellbeing. And of course, we are broadcasting to Gardening with NWG and Discipline with NWG as well. We're going to have a truncated going free today, just 1 hour long, because Jared, George, and I are going to come back with a TAP Easter special at 7 o'clock. So we want to make sure that we are wrapped up and I have time to get over there and make sure that if you want to contact me, tag me as No White Guilt. I'm going to be in the mostly looking at the gardening chat. And if you tag me there's No White Guilt, I'll be able to see it. Don't worry about, I guess you could tag me as Gardening with NWG there as well if you have any questions or comments while we are together today. I will also open up the Skype so we could do a couple of calls, but we're going to do it the same way we did before, where you do not call me, you will write me, and I will call you back. When you write the subject matter that you would like to discuss, and then I will take a look at that and give you a call back. We'll take a couple of calls today. Also, if you want to just write say a paragraph or so, you don't want your voice to be heard on the stream, you don't want folks to see you or hear you rather, then because of the possibility folks might figure out who you are. They'll recognize your voice. Well, then you can just write and I will speak to your question or your issue that way. So once again, a happy Easter to all of you. Now, before we go any further, I would like to send a heartfelt thank you on behalf of all of us serving White Wellbeing. A heartfelt thank you to all of the doctors and nurses, the techs, those assisting these people, firefighters and police officers who are on the front line in this battle against COVID-19. We know that a lot of you are becoming sick with this. Some of you are suffering with little more than a cold. Others are getting very ill. So we want to really extend to you our gratitude, our deepest gratitude and heartfelt thanks. Thank you so very much. And in particular, I'd like to also thank all of you in service to White Wellbeing who are doctors and nurses and techs. We know that there are a great many caregivers, police officers, and firefighters who are serving White Wellbeing. And so we thank all of you in particular for your service to your communities in battling against COVID-19. And of course, the other illnesses that people are suffering with that are amplified by the presence of this disease. So thank you all very much. So let's get into this. The first lesson, we're going to get into the Go Free lesson of the day. And we're going to start off by reading a splendid testimonial about Go Free from Kathy. And it goes like this. Jason, I've purchased the Kindle version of Going Free, 2nd edition. It is an absolutely essential, all capital letters, essential handbook for white people in an anti-white world. The format is very clean and well laid out, and the text is very clear and quite engaging. I picture the reader who has been beleaguered with white noir and bombarded daily with anti-whiteism, hungrily skimming the pages as their eyes get wider and wider with a dawning realization and relief. I can't think of any other guidebook that lays bare so many truths while handing the reader so many answers. Bravo, Jason! Exclamation points. I will certainly be posting a rave review. And then in parentheses here, only one small concern. I simply don't trust Amazon to not censor the digital content. That's from Kathy. Let's get a round of applause for that amazing testimonial that Kathy just gave to Go Free and what we teach here. We don't have to be philosophasters, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. George is going to be, as he's been doing, connecting philosophy with what we are doing right here, the actual practical, pragmatic steps to improve yourself, access your true potential, physical, mental, and spiritual, as many people are doing here. And Jared George has been and will continue to link philosophical truths to the actual work that we are doing here. We don't have to go back to the beginning. We don't have to be a philosophaster. And if HB isn't here to tell you exactly what that all is, as a vocabulary alert. Essentially, it's somebody who pretends to have knowledge, and this is principally about philosophy, but it can deal with anything, especially when this word, I think, is useful when we're talking about people who want to go back to the beginning of time, who want to go back and take a look at the deepest roots of all things so that they can try to reinvent the wheel. It reminds me of, the house is on fire and we have the fire hose, we have the water, and then somebody wants to break down about the origins of water and how it has different states. And is it useful in one state against fire? Is it useful in another? We know exactly how water works. It's time to take out the hose and put out the fire. And so we're going to do that right now. We're going to jump right into Go Free with a lesson that I think is apropos for what's happening. And we've been talking about this, and you're seeing this all around us in the world today, with the West being unable to handle the challenge of COVID-19, this pandemic that will undoubtedly become endemic in our civilizations as a consequence of the ineptitude that we see across the West. Indeed, if we were in control of our destiny, we would absolutely have been able to find remedies for all of these ills. So many trillions of dollars, time loss, geniuses put on the task of harmonizing diversity, that if they weren't wasted in the way that they are, have been, and will continue to be in an anti-white world, we would have accomplished so much, and curing disease would have been a small hurdle for such people, such money, such time, such effort that we put into harmonizing the diversity, which is supposed to be a great strength according to Antiwhiteism. And of course, we know that is a meme pathogen. So here is the lesson from today. It's just going to be a short one, and it is this: there is no excellence where there is equality. Eventually, there isn't even competence. There isn't competence or excellence because everyone is reduced to the least capable or able to achieve equality. Now, this comes from page 124 in the second edition, iteration 1, meme curatives. It is necessary to immediately CCD and create counter assertions when you are confronted with MPs. But there are a growing number of meme curatives, MCs, that you can memorize and use in the place of creating your own counter assertions. MCs are tools that work like MPs, but rather than harm you, they empower you. I've coined many powerful MCs, and below I share some of these and others. See Appendix A for an expanded list of MPs and MC CCDs. And so the one that's important today, and you should remember and share this as you go out into the world, you're not going to find a way to link Kant to your world, but you can say to your friends, family, and strangers, there is no excellence where there is equality, and eventually there isn't even competence. And so equality is an anti-white meme pathogen. It is what is hammered across our heads day in and day out. This is why the CCD, the Centers for Disease Control, was unable to thwart this disease, was unable to stop it in its tracks from entering the United States. It's why the equivalent in other Western countries have been unable to stop this from entering their countries and isolating it and treating those who are ill. It's the reason why right now the economy is crashing. So many people are losing their jobs. You have a lot of people to talk to. You have a mission that you are on. This is not about watching others who think that they're so erudite, or watching others talk about the news or what have you endlessly and have one prediction one day and an antithetical one the next day. And then you come away from that feeling like you have been empowered and that you're smarter because people have used magic words around you like abracadabra and Hegel. No, this is about us making a difference in our world. The time for talking is over. The time for philosophizing and being philosophasters is over. It's time to get busy. It's time to get in. Now, when we are locked down, we can't go out. You can, though, when you go out, you get gas in your car. You can speak to the person at the other pump. You can speak to the other person who is picking up that last piece of pork at the grocery store. You can say, you know why this is happening? It's because of anti-whiteism. And then just walk away. You can drop these seeds. You can all day long be working on blogs and vlogs and in all of these places and saying what's going on here. You can be practicing the MCs that we teach you. You can be working these things out, curing yourself so that you can access more of you, more of your potential, more of your strength, more of your intelligence, more of your spirituality, so that by the time we come out of the lockdown, you will be far more than you were when we started. How does that sound? Doesn't that sound a lot better than tricking yourself into feeling like you're smarter because you've heard people use magic words on some stream? So let's go ahead and move forward, and let's see if we can get, are there any people, let's see if anybody has written me and who would like to. Okay, you can all begin writing me now. I am Jason Kona, No White Guilt on Skype, JASONK no, and then no spaces here, White Guilt on Skype. So write me if you would like to get on the show, talk about whatever you like, but of course you have to mind the rules. We can't say things that will get the channels in trouble. And of course, if you do say something, you decide to call in and you want to throw out some curse words or say something really objectionable that it represents the ne'er-do-well and anti-whiteism, well, I will just clip that part of the video out afterward and no one will know what you said. So it'll be completely worthless. It takes me 2 seconds to do that. But you will, however, piss off everyone in the live chat who would like to see their comments repeated as long as the video is available. And those comments will disappear. So you will be doing yourself nothing but harm if you decide to do so. So anybody, again, feel free to reach out. Let's move forward then with until somebody does write in. And let's see, we have a news item about, and we will also talk about whatever you would like to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, as I pull up Entropy now, because I know the wonderful people who are moderating are probably shouting at me, Entropy, Entropy, what is going on? Why don't you have it up yet? Well, it is, you know what? It's not going, I don't think I'll be able to pull it this time, because we're not coming through No White Guilt. So it might not be able to run this time at all. But we'll go ahead and move forward with the news story, and that is racially driven terrorism. We're talking about RIM here, ladies and gentlemen. The United States on Monday designated the ultra-nationalist Russian Imperial Movement, RIM group, as a terrorist organization in what the State Department called the first such movement against and here comes the anti-white slur, a white supremacist group. It's always the anti-white slur. So remember, you have to read this for what it really says and understand it for what it really says. And of course, this is perfectly in line. And remember, this is Trump's government. This is Trump's White House. These are the Republicans that are doing this, not the Democrats, not Hillary, not any of these other anti-whites, but it's the anti-white Donald who is responsible for this. It is his Republican Party. It is the swamp or sewer. Maybe he drained the swamp and he replaced it with the sewer. I don't know. These designations are unprecedented, Nathan Sales, coordinator for U.S. counterterrorism, said in a statement. So what's happening is we're seeing under Donald and the Republican Party a massive shift to recategorize all thoughts that are heretical, according to anti-whiteism, those specifically that are heretical and serve white well-being, care about white children, care about the future of our people, care about Western civilization, our monuments, our history, our achievements, our inheritance, for God's sakes. It cares about these things. We're seeing these things designated as terrorism because they are losing. Why, ladies and gentlemen? What can you feel happy about right now? You can feel happy about the fact that all of these old anti-white slurs have lost their teeth. They're now toothless. They've been feeding on candy for so long, and they're filled with cavities, and all of the teeth have fallen out. The big canine that used to be called racism, the big canine that used to be called anti-Semitism. These things don't have the effect that they used to have on the broad many millions of our vague brothers and sisters out there. And so now what the anti-whites are having to do, and they're telling us, they're broadcasting it, if you're intelligent enough to see it, and we here in Service to White Wellbeing are, they are broadcasting to all of us that they have run out of teeth. And so now they're looking for other words to demonize us to our brothers and sisters. And that new word, that new term to demonize us is terrorism. And so they are making it official so that they can use it in their propaganda, their movies, their books, their schools, etc., that anybody who has a heretical thought, cares about white well-being, is a terrorist. Monday's measure comes after the State Department, in its latest annual terrorism report last Monday, said ethnically and racially driven terrorism had risen alarmingly in 2018, both worldwide and in the United States. And of course, what they're talking about there is the anti-whites conflate they conflate the activities of racial, non-white racial groups and the actions that they commit. Say you go over there in Uganda or what have you, and they're cutting heads off because you are a member of a different tribe. Well, they're going to count that as the same thing as somebody caring for white well-being in Virginia or Wyoming or Scotland or whatever it might be. Those people are all the same as those cleaving heads off the shoulders in Uganda or Nicaragua or et cetera. And so this is how they're going to make it far worse for us. RIM is still very much in the business of providing training to like-minded, here it is again, another anti-white slur, neo-Nazis, and another one, white supremacists across Europe. We know they have recruited individuals from other countries in Europe and continue to do so, he said in a teleconference with reporters. Russian imperial movement members cast themselves as Russian Orthodox nationalists who favor, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, we know here that that is ultimately a losing strategy. You can't take up one of the vehicles of the past, and that being a specific religion, and even more specifically, a specific branch of a religion. You can't take up a single branch of a religion, use a vehicle that's already been undermined. How much sense does that make? The anti-whites know how to defeat that. You go back to the exact same playbook that they're holding in their hands, wide open, and they will take you down just as they have taken them, these different groups down in the past, ruining us time and again. In fact, they beat Christianity a very long time ago. Russian imperial movement said, Sales said, had, quote, innocent blood on its hands, and cited a series of attacks from late 2016 in the Swedish city of Gothenburg carried out by two members of RIM, who Sales said had received paramilitary style training in Russia. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is another lesson for all of us to learn. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can tag me with questions or comments that you would like me to see. You can also financially gift, and you can do so not on Entropy. There's only one place for you to do so today, and that is on Cash App. You can only financially gift on Cash App, and if you do, priority naturally is going to be given to those who financially gift in their questions or comments, and then I will try to get to everyone else's questions and comments as we work through. Maybe I'll be able to pick up Entropy on one of the other machines as we're working. But there's another lesson here to be learned that we in Service to White Wellbeing take from a story like this, because we interpret what they say. We find the codes of what they're saying, and we pull out these morsels of truth. And what it's saying here is that if you decide that you are going to have some paramilitary training or anything that even looks remotely like that, you're going to get people out standing in a line, shooting at targets out in the distance. You're going to have them crawl under barbed wire. You're going to have them crawl up trees, over hills, through the mud. You're going to have them do these different things. You're going to have giant rows of folks all learning how to flip people over their backs or something like this. And you think that this is harmless, and it is harmless when it's being done by, YMCA. It is harmless when it's being done at some gun range where it's just a business who is teaching people how to shoot. But when you do something like this, it becomes paramilitary style training. And then you will be conflated with people like RIM, whom they say has blood on their hands. And then, my friends, with the new designations in the United States government, in the UK government, in the Canadian government, etc., you will find your white ass sitting in jail. And then you're going to have to become a member of one of these white groups in prison if you don't want to be murdered by the non-whites that are in there, as we know that, of course, nothing like that would ever happen. Non-whites, they would probably deliver you flowers to your cell in sympathy for your hardship. I think, what else do we have here about RIM? And then I'll look to your comments. Sales declined to say whether or not Monday's designation was communicated to the Russian government ahead of time. He also did not say whether or not Washington believes the Russian government is linked to the group. So there's the implied, they are implying there's some sort of state level connection, which of course is something that the Democrats, the Democrats are going to immediately link on to as soon as they come to control the White House again in 4 more years. And they will say, look here, there's a linkage to the big bad boogeyman of the hour, which is Russia. And therefore, these people are also that guy who grew up in Kansas and who likes the local baseball team, the D3 baseball team, goes and watches all the time, is known by some of the players even. That guy is somehow linked to Russia, and he's receiving payment from them, and then he too will go to jail forever. This is why we have to look nothing like the anti-whites want us to look. Resist the urge, ladies and gentlemen. I think if nothing else, the final thing I'll have to say on this this Russian Orthodox movement here is that they might want to consider a name change because I think if you attend their rallies, it means that you are rimming. So let's see if there are any comments in any of the platforms, see what people are saying. And I will say hello to everybody, see if there are any questions. Let's see, I will slide up to the top here. And I see hellos. Traversing the Divide is here. Laurel is here. Great to see you. Ambitious is here. Great to see you. Raymond, of course. Dave the Impaler. And Rabbi Sheckelstein, happy Easter to you. Great to see you. Walker is here. Mrs. Jess Horst and the great 41 BMC, as well as Shauna and Alleluia. Wonderful folks. Great to see you all. Hey, Heidi is here. Great to see you, dear lady. Thank you for your service as well. I thought I may have seen Roy. Perhaps I didn't. But let's see. Who else? Might have been Ray's name that I saw fly by. Started with an R. Brant Danger is here. Great to see you. Elaine Sabatino, Amanda, Roar, Fornull, the great Fornull is here. Great to see you, brother. He's got an amazing song. We were only able to play the first part of that song because it gets a little edgy toward the end, and we already have enough heat. If you want to see the rest of that song, we played that on the Chuck Martell's Garage Party. Make sure you don't miss those because we highlight some of the best artists in the white positive sphere. In fact, the best artists. No one will escape highlighting it at Chuck Martell's Garage Party. And we played the first part of his latest piece. You want to see the rest, make sure you get over his channel. White Student Transmission is here. Great to see you, dear brother. Simon is here. Great to see you. Let me just slide through, see if there are any. Kimberly, hello to you. Thank you for being here. I think I mentioned Like Comedies. Steve Ben Bob, Ursa Major. Wonderful folks. Great to see you all. I wonder if I can pull up the entropy over here. We shall see if that is possible or not. And if you all could give me a minute, remember that you can write in if you would to my Skype, if you would like to call, if you would like to talk on the air. And looks like we have a couple have already written in. So I will jump right over there in just one moment. And we will see what those good folks have to say. Let me just have a look here and see if we can get up entropy on one of these other machines today. It might be possible. Let's see. If we can make it happen, it will be nice. Is everybody having a great Easter? No, it is not going to work because it's I can't explain to you all of the background details, but these are steps that I have to take to protect the channels from the anti-whites, and you know that they are ever hungry to strike us. And in fact, as you might have witnessed, they gave me a strike for my 14th day of my 14 countdown, and to whether I was going to be infected with coronavirus. This is my lockdown, my quarantine, whether I was going to be infected or whether I was going to be coronavirus free. I declared at the end of that 14 days that I was coronavirus free, and they gave me a strike for a scam. James Edward is here. Great to see you. Copyrad, hello to you. Great to see you. That means we'll be back to streaming and uploading videos on No White Guilt next week. No worries there. I appealed the strike, and immediately, within minutes, before anyone could have had an opportunity, a human being to have an opportunity to have a look, received an automated response and denying the appeal. Made in Deutschland is here. Great to see you. Okay, let's go over to these calls. And we have here, let's see, Eastern language, I think, is first. Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. We are going to call Full Moon Ancestry and briefly speak with him, see how he's doing. He's doing some great work now. I'm going to turn up these speakers. I got to turn the microphone around so this will work. So let me go ahead. If you're there, Full Moon Ancestry, get ready to receive the call. Here it comes.
Hello, Jason.
Hey, brother, how are you doing?
I am doing great, and I just wanted to say hello and give my condolences and apologies to that strike that you got on your channel. I definitely am sorry about that. Definitely expected from all the anti-whites. But how are you doing, sir?
I couldn't be better. I am ecstatic about being able to serve White Wellbeing, ecstatic to be able to be with you all, serving with such heroes during the time of crisis, during this time of plague is the best thing I could ever hope to be doing with my life. There's so many other things. I mean, think about it right now, Full Moon. There are people right now who are, they've lost their jobs or they're getting ready to lose their jobs. They're not getting paid. They're on unemployment. How long is the unemployment going to last? Is that covering what they need, expenses, food, etc.? Maybe think about this also. I've been talking about this with friends, and I don't think I've had an opportunity to talk about it on the air, and that is this. Why are there so many domestic violence issues going on right now? It's because our people, of course, I'm talking about just us, not the non-white folks, but it's because those of us who are suffering in these scenarios, we're finally boxed in with our family members. We don't know how to be with family anymore. We're suffering with such white noir. We hate our people, our people's history. Therefore, we hate ourselves, and therefore we hate the family around us. It's become so difficult to make a connection with them that just being boxed in with them for several hours is enough for people to start hitting the children, hitting each other. The wife's hitting the husband. And nobody's hearing about that, of course, because how many husbands are going to reveal that their wife is beating them up? But when the husband hits the wife, and of course that people hear about that. Sometimes the wife will keep that a secret. But of course, we then hear about, guaranteed we're going to be seeing stories about white men beating their wives. And it won't matter that folks out there, and rest assured, Full Moon, there are still folks out there that think that we can wage this fight to recapture our destiny with data, with facts, as though we haven't been doing that for the past 5-6 decades now, using the information, using the data, using the evidence, because truth is on our side, because we are just saying what is the data reports. Folks are going to come forward and say, no, look at the data, this proves, and they're not going to get anywhere with it, as they never have gotten anywhere with it, because we need a psychological defense for a psychological warfare that's waged against us. The data then just bolsters what we are able to protect by putting up that wall of that psychological defense. But a big happy Easter to you. And what are you seeing, brother, in white positive sphere, and what's going on with COVID or anything else in your life?
You touch on a lot of important topics, and that is one of the reasons why your stream, your dialectics, your verbiage is so important. You are right, is that we will see the anti-whites cherry picking these examples. They'll find the one white family that had a domestic disturbance, and they will report that. But the numerous cases of non-whites engaging in similar behavior, probably more common in non-white communities, they will ignore that. They will hush that up. Your streams are very important because we have such great family atmosphere in the chats. Everyone is so happy, and happy Easter to everyone here. These times we are going to get a lot of this. Again, it's always anti-white propaganda, these mean pathogens, as you say. But everyone, Jason Kuna is always right. He is right about numerous things. He was right about DLive. They recently denied my application to upgrade my account. And it's definitely not as major as what they've done to you, Jason, but you always set a great example. You're always right. I'm working on an article right now talking about an individual in our community in the past who I met briefly, but went down the wrong road of the bad optics, using or meeting the expectations of what the anti-whites want us to be, the stereotypes, the Hollywood stereotypes. So I'm just thankful for everything being here with all the great people, with Easter with all you guys. Jason is usually right, and he has our concerns. And I hope that despite all the anti-white propaganda, we can build our families, strengthen our family atmosphere. And that's all thanks to you and serving White Wellbeing.
Well, that's such a blessing. All of those, everything you just said there, the testimonial that you just gave, Full Moon. And I salute you for that. It's going to do a great many people a great amount of good, because we have been going too long in the white positive sphere, far too long now, rehashing the same things, going back to the data, going back to the philosophizing, going back to all of this again and again. And of course, it goes nowhere. It's just it's another way to pedal without a chain, and a waste of time. So it's time that we get busy making things happen. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to brag on Full Moon here for a moment, because this man is an excellent author. He writes pieces at several locations, and I'm going to have you give those before we get off the phone with you, Full Moon. But he's an excellent author. He is a astute thinker, and can really parse things apart. And he has taken up the lexicon and the dialectics that we use here, and he's using them to great effect. And as a consequence, more people will pick these things up, and it'll begin working more and more. And even as we're seeing now, so many folks are writing to me saying this, that they're seeing the lexicon, they're seeing the dialectics get picked up in places where folks don't want to talk about us, because they have, unfortunately, ego is a little too strong in them. And so they don't want to say exactly what's going on here, the good that we're doing. And yet what works, what is successful, has a way of continuing to be increasingly successful. Whatever works is going to continue working, and that is what we're going to continue to see. Folks that have profound egos who will use more and more of what we're talking about here, and then perhaps they'll try to cast it in some sort of different light, but at nothing else, they're not going to mention what's happening. And that says a lot about the character of a person like Full Moon, who comes right out and says, look, these things work. They're working for others. They work when I use them. Here's the community where you can come and find this and grow in yourself, become a better person, become stronger, and then go out into the world and share these things as well. So Full Moon, where can, and ladies and gentlemen, do find Full Moon over on D Live, where he is. And you can also find his pieces. He'll tell you countercurrents, etc., where you can find the pieces that he authors. But a big sorry to hear that they denied you as well. They denied me. They denied JF. Some people seem to get through under the wire, but I don't anticipate that any of us now will be able to get through. And most likely what will end up happening is they will comb through their accounts and find those who are white positive in one way, shape, or form, and then nix them as well. So please, before you go, let folks know where they can find you on D Live, the name there, and where they can find the pieces that you write.
Sure. My name again is Full Moon Ancestry. I am very humbled and honored to write for Countercurrents. That's counter-currents.com. And I do use a lot, if not all, of Jason's great lexicon, his vocabulary of going free and serving white well-being. You can also find me on D Live. I stream sometimes daily on Full Moon Ancestry. That's on D Live. Thank you very much, Jason. Happy Easter to you. Happy Easter to everyone. Thank you.
Happy Easter, brother. Thanks for calling in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me have a quick look, and then we'll go to the next caller to see. We have Heidi has jumped in with a financial gift, $1 over on Cash App. Thank you, dear lady. Thank you so very much, and it's great to see you again. It's been a while. This is a wonderful lady here, and we'll have to get Jared, George, and I are talking about doing a homeschooling episode. We're going to get a number of you all together who have homeschooled, are homeschooling, and have tips for our brothers and sisters out there, the Vagues, who now are seeing many of them for the first time, the horror of anti-whiteism in their children's textbooks. I saw somebody asking, I think it was Iron Will maybe, asking if I had lost my channel. I haven't lost my channel, but I did receive a strike, which prevents a content producer from uploading or live streaming or sending messages on their channel briefly. So we will be back over there next week, rest assured. The show will continue. We're going to be doing some of the shows, streaming some of the shows on, I think, probably Tap and After Hours on both Gardening with NWG and Discipline with NWG. And if you are on any of the channels, including No White Guilt, you look over to the right side and you should see the links to the other channels. Make sure you subscribe and click the bell and ring it for all content. And hopefully you will end up receiving alerts on those channels as well when we get ready to go live or drop a new video. Let me look through the chat really quickly to see if there is anybody else who has. William Runner is here. Great to see you, brother. Again, a big happy Easter and white well-being to every single one of you. Keep in mind that we are going to, this is going to be a truncated version of, or edition of Going Free. We're only going to go for another 30 minutes, under 30 minutes. And then I'm going to be back with Jared George on a special Easter edition of TAP. I'm going to hang out with you all for about an hour or so. So anybody who wants to come back, it'll be again on the Gardening channel and the Discipline channel. Please make sure you return, take a little break, maybe get a little bit more of that lamb or whatever it is that you're having over this Easter holiday. How are you all feeling as well? Caper Mella's here. Great to see you, dear lady. How are you all feeling with the lockdown, trying to celebrate Easter? Is the family able to come over? Normally, what would we be talking about before Easter? We would have been talking about what you could talk about when the family is there, how you could help those family members begin to go free, how you could introduce them to going free. We didn't talk about it this time because we're locked down. And the odds are that somebody is over at your home or you're over there is slimmer than usual. But if you are out and you are with family, maybe you're even with family right now, or you'll be heading over there yet, reach out and in a call perhaps, and we will talk with you and maybe answer some of those questions in a way that can help everyone who's watching here live and in replay. And it looks like we have the great Brant Danger is on hold. Brant, if you are hearing me right now, get ready to receive the call. He's going to be talking to us about a project that he is working on, which we are excited about. So let's go ahead and place that call now.
Hello.
Brant, how you doing, brother?
Doing fine. Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter to you too as well, good sir. And you, right as you call in, the great Imminent Rain shows up. A Promethean hails to you as well, good brother. So you got a project that you're working on, and some of us know what it is, some of us don't. So could you tell the folks what it is and where you are in this project?
Okay, yeah. So I'm in the very early stages. I'm in the planning stages of it right now. This is something that I've been thinking about for a few years. And as some people know, I am a classroom teacher, and I am as aware as anyone else of the anti-white, shall we say, propaganda, which hits most of the age groups in our schooling system. So, you know, if I had my druthers, if we all had a magic spell, I would create some schools that are for white well-being, you know, physical brick and mortar schools, but that's not a possibility right now. But what is a possibility is putting together a site which can provide a curriculum, which is a white positive curriculum, that could provide material aimed at different age groups as the children mature. So I have experience teaching different subjects in different ages of students, and I have experience developing different curriculum, but I don't have a lot of experience, you know, putting together websites, interactive websites, you know, working on lots of different videos, animation, and that sort of stuff. So what I'm just starting to do right now is contact people and see what would people want to see, what are their needs, what type of people would be interested in providing some content, ideas, advice on different places to look at for hosting it, places to stay away from, you know, that type of information.
That's fantastic. And folks, if you're watching live or you're watching in replay, you just heard the heroic project that Brant is working on. And this is exactly the kind of thing we have to do, because the anti-whites, they know the place to get to a white child, the time to get at them is when they are children, because they could be convinced of a great many things. I mean, you know, a Easter bunny hopped in on their homes in the middle of the night and put out Easter baskets. It was a wonderful thing. They woke up with big smiles. And so if the Easter bunny can come into their home, then surely Western kind can be made to look like monsters, even though it is the exact opposite, even though it is our great gifts to the world that have enabled us to do things like fight pandemics, like fight these diseases, like come up with immunizations, like come up with create therapeutics. It is all due to our creativity. Of course, there are non-whites that have played a role since we got the ball rolling. But that to take us out of the equation is to take all of this away. And you go back to, you know, pulling chicken entrails out of people's mouths and this sort of nonsense, which of course doesn't happen. You just have to ask YouTube. So if you're hearing this now, live or in replay, this is a really noble thing that Brant is doing. Teacher wants to be able to build a site. What he's saying is absolutely right. Not able to afford brick and mortar. We better to have a website anyhow, really. A brick and mortar can be attached to that later. But to have a website where folks can go find white positive content. You just heard what he is looking for, what he needs to be able to continue with this project. He's dedicated to it, and we are indebted to him for the work that he's doing there. If you can supply any of those tools to him, if you could help out in some way, get with me. You can reach me by way of the store, NoWhiteCoatCollectibles.com. There's a way to contact me there, and I'm catching up on all of the contacts. If you've written there, watch out for a message from me soon. And also, you can write in the live chat and or the stream, or the thread rather, after the stream is finished. And before we let you go, Brent, do you have some place that is, or maybe next time you call in, you could before that create an email address just for perhaps people reaching out to you?
Yeah, I've got one right now.
Okay, great. Then please give that.
Yeah. Okay, so this is all one word: School of the West at protonmail.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, School of the West at protonmail.com.
Yes.
Okay. I've got it. Magnificent, brother. Thank you so very much. And we'll repeat that again and on subsequent shows as well. But thank you so much for calling in, and we'll have you call in again and give us some more details about that. And a very happy Easter to you and White Wellbeing.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Moran. Bye-bye. Big hero there, ladies and gentlemen. He's doing some magnificent things. We really like Brand Danger, a participant. We're not sitting in the stands watching others out there on the field do things for us. No, we are making things happen, and that's what makes us different from everywhere else in the white positive sphere. So let me go ahead quickly, and then we'll get to, I think we've got another caller. Let me get to these community comments because we are rapidly running out of time. And specifically the story that I wanted to address, which is this Michelle Malkin nonsense, something that we, of course, here in the white positive sphere, those serving white well-being, our particular sphere in the white positive sphere, predicted would happen. Regrettably, again, another prediction coming to fulfillment. We have here, let's see, we have a woman. Now we're not going to give away the names of these two women who reached out, but we have a woman here who wrote, "Your speculation about Michelle Malkin is absurd. She does not look ill. Michelle is brilliant," all capital letters. And by the way, the prediction that we made and that is coming to fulfillment all around us is this. We still have, and I will ask you all, perhaps you can get into the chat and say why this is the case. And if nobody does, then I will. And that is that we now have people saying, well, we have a non-white person that is saying positive things, white positive things. Well, leader. So here we go. Michelle is brilliant, all capital letters. And she has been a vocal anti-globalist for many, many years. Michelle and Ann Coulter have been on top of immigration for a very long time. Now, this is not now that I'm reading this, I'm thinking this is very similar to the other email I read. This is not the same email, I don't believe. For a very long time. I sense Michelle truly loves America. And I just saw, hold on, ladies and gentlemen, had a bit of a glitch over here on this other screen, wondering what's exactly happening. Stream still coming through well for everyone? Okay. If it is, let me know. If there's any issues, then let me know. But looks okay on my end now. And it says here, I sense that Michelle truly loves America, and that is why she speaks out. She's been highly successful for many years, already has a nice home. So this was I do believe that this was the one that I touched upon earlier, maybe last week it was. And she says here, the interview with Lana was fantastic. What I wanted to add to this is that they have been these, and then the other woman who participated in this said she just came in with saying that she agreed with it. And so I pointed out here that, and let me know actually, because I wonder if I should read because I'm running out of time. And as I look at the clock, I see Never Felt Guilty here. Great to see you. But I will just sum up then, because I want to get to the final call, and that is this, that these women were saying that I'm not allowed to question Michelle Malkin, her motivations, and I should feel bad for questioning Michelle Malkin. And we talked about this last week as well, that this gender loyalty is a mean pathogen in our women. You don't see the same thing in our men. And so this is something that if you're a woman and you're experiencing this gender loyalty, you need to realize that this indeed is a mean pathogen. You've been taught to side with your gender against the men of our people to undermine our kind. And it has worked. It's been a big part of undermining our families. It's been a big part of undermining our civilization, turning the wives in our homes against the men, the women in general, against our men. So you need to remember, when you have loyalty to a woman, and look here, these white women are having loyalty to a non-white woman against a white man who has not said that Michelle is ill, who has not said, I merely asked the question, does she have an illness? And is that what's motivating her? According to the women, these particular women, you can't question whether or not a woman's motivation. You can't question whether or not she's here because some sort of reason other than the most high and noble, because all women can ever do is things that are holy and heroic. And give me a break. We all know horrible women. We all know anti-white women, just like we know anti-white men. So I ended up writing here at the end here saying, seriously, you attack a white man who is openly on the front lines for our people because he asked a question about the motivation of an Asian woman who is married to a Jewish man. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Let that really sink into you. Questioning the motivations, insulting a white man who is on the front lines with his face and name out there for the well-being of our people because he merely asked a couple of questions about an Asian woman who's married to a Jewish man and wanted to know her motivations. Well, this and a great many other comments that are being made out there, people are saying that Michelle Malkin is a leader. She should be our leader. And you know what's really interesting about this is that not all girls are female, because Peter Bremelow ended up saying just the other day, on top of a number of things, and of course, we understand that some of these things might be motivated, and this is VDare. Some of these statements might be motivated by lawsuits and things like this, but he's openly saying that he's a civic nationalist, of course, which means eradication of Western kind, because civic nationalism is nothing but abstractionism. Anybody can hold the opinion, anybody can hold the views. And this is ultimately the question that Michelle has to be asked in a polite way, because she's been showing herself to be kind to us and what we're doing. But Peter Bremelow decided to jump in there with the Michelle is our leader. Please run for president. He will vote for you, he said. So not all girls are female. What a pathetic and sick display. Could you imagine a bunch of blacks saying that, or any non-white group saying, this is a movement for the well-being of our people. Let's install a member of some other race as our leader. This is white noir, and we need to address it for what it is. It's like being in an insane asylum. I'm going to move on from that. If anybody has any questions or comments, we'll get to them. Running out of time there, I see, but we have, let's see, Azumath Clark writes here, every day I make it a point to talk about white well-being to at least one person, friend or family member. I have already started raising my 3-year-old son and what white well-being, always protecting him from the mean pathogens. So a big thank you to you, my dear friend, for doing that. Let's get a round of applause for that good gentleman. And we also have here more from him saying, I started my journey on Going Free. I purchased your digital version of Go Free. It took me a few days to set up, but I have already started reading the first chapter. Once I'm done, I will use what I learned to help other Westmen cure themselves of MPs. This is definitely and he writes here also, Kip. I'm summarizing some of these, shortening them because we're running out of time, but a big round of applause, getting out there into the real world, already just acquired to Go Free, already taking it to those around him, taking it to his children to inoculate them against the mean pathogens that are out there. Because rest assured, especially since this COVID-19 is said by professionals, not by yours truly, but said by professionals to have little impact symptomatic wise on children, rest assured that mean pathogens are far worse. Evil Char says, I noticed that whenever your video automatically skips to another video, the content of that video has been something conservative related in the past weeks. Now, the anti-whites may presume that they need to change things up a bit at times just to hide their attempt at redirecting people to anti-white conclusions. I just came back to quickly mention that this time the video of lovely non-whites in t-shirts that are too big for them, with a voice changer, of course, to amplify their natural singing talent, while wearing gold chains that are worth a year's salary in total, if not more, for the vast number of whites in the world today. Thank you very much for letting us know, Evil, about this is the glitch banning, which is taking place. It seems almost primarily directed at the good work that we are doing here in White Wellbeing, jumping people off of the video that they're watching, the stream that they're watching, onto these other garbage videos, and trying to lead folks in a different direction. Wonder why the remedy is so problematic to the anti-whites. Looks like people can call in, but over here I can stop it. Don't call in until I call you. Send me a message and I will call you back. Reptile here, writing, thank you, Jason. I once had tremendous difficulty understanding societal context and paradigms. We are so conditioned to simply accept the unacceptable as our trajectory, as if these conditions are unchangeable realities that can never be reeled back or altered. But as we've all just seen, these conditions can shift overnight. Reject the unacceptable. It can be changed. It will be changed. And that's precisely what we are doing. Only we get to define our future, and we must never accept what others may wish upon us. God bless you, Reptile. Absolutely assimilating the material of going free beautifully, and then giving it back forth in perfect remedy. It sounds like I should have said melody there, but remedy and melody, because it's absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much. We define our story. We don't take their terms and allow them to say that we are this or that character and that we need to behave a certain way. Little Frig writes here, we're almost done with these community comments and we'll get to final calls. Writes, no white guilt. You are very welcome, sir. I feel privileged and honored knowing a man like you. And I know for a fact that I'm not alone in my view of you, good sir. So when you're feeling down, just know you are in all our hearts. And just like you have helped all of us find the light throughout tough times, we will do the same for you, dear brother. Well, thank you so much, sister. You are an amazing person. That is very meaningful. I felt that that lifted me so beautifully when I read it. Like wings, and I just wanted to share it with you all. Thank you so much, Little Frig. A big round of applause for her. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have nothing else, you can never financially gift. You can't. You can barely ever get online to post comments to try to fight back this anti-whiteism. If you have nothing else for me or Jared George or our musicians, Jeff at White Art Collective, and the rest of us, if you have nothing else but a good word, share it. It is very meaningful. I promise you this. And finally, we have Bill here. Live for a cause greater than yourself. You will leap out of bed knowing you have a chance to change the world. God bless you, Bill. That is magnificent. Thank you very much for that message, and for that message to everyone watching right now and in replay. Let's have a quick look over here and see who we have as a potential. We have... let me see. Salutations, White Rider, and would like to call in. Has a good story to share. Okay, we're going to bring White Rider in, and this looks like it's going to be the last call of the day, ladies and gentlemen, because we are very nearly out of time. Just under 4.5 minutes. We're reaching out to White Rider, the great White Rider, right now. Hello. Hello.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, brother. How are you? Happy Easter.
Buongiorno, mio fratello. How you doing, man?
I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful. Thank you for calling in. So what is your great story that you want to share with us, brother?
So basically my story is, well, I just recently got out of Seattle not too long ago, like August or so. And when I moved over to Boise, which I'll probably be leaving soon anyway, my brother and I have been doing the temp work circuit for.
You still there, brother? I don't hear you right now. Looks like we may have lost you. I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call White Rider right back. We lost you right at the temp circuit. So if you can hear that, I'm calling right back. White Rider, if you can hear me on the show here, we're trying to give you a call back because we lost you right at the point where you were talking about being at the temp circuit, and so we will give you another call right back. See if you're available.
Hello.
All right, we lost you right at the temp circuit, brother. Pick it right up.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry. I'm using Skype on my phone, and I never even used this. So.
Okay.
But yeah, we worked the temp circuit. We got to Boise not to like August of last year, and so we're working the temp circuit. And the ethnic competition here is it's very, very intense. So as soon as you walk in, if there's a person of, let's just say, one of these unlawful colonizers from south of the border. Decides they see you as a threat immediately. So they're very competitive.
Right.
And the one guy, we show up at our job, and the one guy instantly, I mean, these guys, I can only describe them as evil. And the one guy is looking at me like he wants to kill me already.
Right.
And if you've ever seen that kind of darkness in people, it's quite recognizable.
Yes.
And so I instantly want to leave this place, and I just waited. My brother was like, we should, just move forward with it, see what happens. And basically they start really weirding us out. He starts pulling me into this conversation of like, we start asking each other, like, where are you from, this, that, and the other. And he starts throwing the anti-white. He's setting me up for an anti-white accusation. Like, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Kentucky. Oh, you don't look like you're from Kentucky. He's like, oh, well, what do I have to have blonde hair and blue eyes to be in America? I'm like, oh, okay, all right, we see this. And then so we're doing this is a construction site, and we're doing a safety briefing, and the way that they described what was going to happen, like if an emergency or somebody got injured, it was so morbid. Like it almost felt like they were looking forward to something. Mm-hmm. So we decided we didn't want to work on a roof with these guys. And it was a brand new roof. There wasn't even like any lining around the roof. Right. And so we decided to leave, and immediately we had enough information, and we call up our supervisor for our temp company, and basically like just essentially what we did, he was trying to set an ambush with the whole blonde hair, blue eyes thing. Right. And so we set a counter ambush, and I called up my boss and I said, dude, he's already started to play racial games with me. He says blonde hair, blue eyes. He's trying to set me up for an accusation of racism. He's being anti-white. And the funny thing is, my boss actually came all the way down here, all the way down to the job site. And we were actually walking off the site. And the most interesting thing is, this guy ran after me as if he were a white person trying to beg for forgiveness for accusations of racism. It was it was the strangest thing I had ever seen. He's running after me like, dude, oh, what's wrong? I'm like, dude, I'm not dealing with this anti-white bull crap. I'm not dealing with these. Like, what are you talking about, man? I'm not racist. I have white people in my family. I'm like, dude, if I had black people in my family, does that mean I can't be racist? He's like, no. I'm like, exactly. And he's like, but I'm not racist. I'm like, no, I didn't call you racist. I called you anti-white. Nice. And I just left it at that. He walked away. He stormed away. He was very frustrated. And then so I met up with my boss in the front. Turns out these guys actually left the site. This was day one of building the roof, and these guys were in charge of it. They disappeared. Wow. Yeah.
How about that? Well, what a victory that is, and a great demonstration, a great testimony to the point of you holding your position on our field of what is happening. This is our story. That individual was acting anti-white. You did brilliantly. I mean, think about this. Think about this, White Rider. You acted with far more sang-froid, far more intelligence, far more integrity, and really, we could just use the word victory this way, far more victory than so many of these supposedly, erudite, urbane individuals in the white positive sphere who can't get away from using the terms the anti-white use. You stuck to your guns. You said, look, you're anti-white. And then what ended up happening? Another demonstration of the victory of holding the conversation on the field of our taking, ladies and gentlemen. White Rider just demonstrated this with his brother. What a great victory story on Easter. I love it. Thank you so much for that testimonial, brother. And we'll have you call in again soon, okay?
Awesome, man. Hey, I'll call in at any time. I have all kinds of interesting stories and perspective to share. I don't want to steal the airspace, but I'm Italian, so I'm going to talk a lot.
That's fantastic. No worry with that, brother. No worry at all. We'll talk to you. We'll talk to you soon. Happy Easter and good white well-being to you. Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what a magnificent. I think we're going to have. We also have Tall Kevin, if he's still out there. Are you still out there, Tall Kevin? Are you still in the chat? Let's see. And let me also say, everybody so far has been doing the right thing. Your name on Skype might be different than the name that you want to be called on this show. And I see that we're 2 minutes over. So if we get Kevin, Tall Kevin on, we're going to very, very briefly speak with him so that we can run. But I do want to make the point that if your name is different on Skype than the name you want to be called, make sure you write the name you want to be called as right at the very beginning of your message. This is whatever your name you want to be called, and that'll be the name that I call you rather than the name on the account. Also, I do want to point out that HB 2014 has publicly stated that if you call in on this show, he is not going to be clipping out anybody's voices. And let's make sure, mods, that I think Ray might be our only mod today. Thank you so much for being here. That we let folks know that their voices won't be clipped out and then shared on Twitter as well. So we're going to make a quick call over to Tall Kevin, see if he's available, and we'll wrap this up. Kevin, how are you, brother?
Good. How about yourself? Happy Easter.
Oh, happy Easter to you and white well-being. And we've run over just about 3 minutes, but I figured we'd call you really quick and get your call and say hello, brother.
Yeah. Hi, how's it going? Yeah, I'll just make it real quick. I just want to say, I kind of was kicking myself after last week's call, but thanks a lot just for being around and all the work you do. It's absolutely a positive, factor in my life after I found your I don't know how you define a program or book or whatever you would define it as. You know that better yourself. But after I heard about who you are, I believe it might have been through Ramsey Paul, through one of his shows. You would have a guest, like a guest speaker or whatever it is. And I found you on that, and I just was interested more. And I went into it, and I was just like, wow, this guy's really modern, kind of rephrasing certain things that from the old times in the past, but now it's modernized, and like you say, to not fit the narrative of the Hollywood, protagonist or antagonist. It's absolutely applicable to today's world because a lot of the stuff back in the day, it's outdated. And I'm one that's into history for years of my life. I'm 32, and it's really not applicable anymore. And you got to move on from some of the old type of ways and stuff. So you're absolutely the only person I know of the sphere that's speaking in certain ways, and you're definitely a groundbreaker, in my opinion. So just saying thanks a lot for being around. I look forward to all these streams every week, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same.
Well, brother, I can't say thank you deeply enough, not just for the nice things that you said about me, but for all of those who hear this live and in replay, who will say, well, this guy, Kevin, what is it? Why does he feel so strongly about? Why has it made such a difference in his life? Why does it seem to so empower him? What's really the difference here? What's going on? I'm going to look into it. So I thank you for all of those folks out there who are going to end up, our brothers and sisters out there who might be going down really wretched paths, who might also be on wonderful paths. They have happy home life. They have a happy job, or they're going to university or whatever it is, high school, and but they are not all that they can be. They are, as I said, at the speech in PA, they're the eagle that has its wings broken and fettered to its side. They could do so much more. We all could do so much more. So it's really meaningful, and it's what you just said there is going to fire me to work twice as hard, to redouble my efforts again and again, because I know that there are great folks out there like you who are taking this up, improving themselves, accessing more of the latent potential that's inside of you, so that you can do so much more in this world, do so much more for you personally, for the family that you'll have, for the good you'll do for our people. And then, of course, that's reciprocal, coming back to you and your family, your loved ones, everybody you care about. Kevin, you're a great participant, so I deeply appreciate you. And thank you so much for being with us in this struggle.
Thank you as well. Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. Yeah, I have a family, I have a daughter, I have a wife, obviously. And, it's pretty much for me just refining me, because I was rough around the edges before, and now it's kind of fine-tuning my personality in a certain way. It's not like I was totally off the rails, but it just keeps you on going the right path, and that's what it does for me, and I'm sure other people it does even more. So, yep, thanks a lot for being around.
Precisely that, brother. Everybody's at it. We all are at a certain place of improvement. We're all at a certain place of tapping into all of those latent abilities that are inside of us, and we all will find it. And it's these sort of testimonials and the great work that you're doing, Kevin, that will continue to help others out there grow for wherever their starting point may be, however far they've fallen. They are going to have a starting point, and they can work back toward that mountaintop where and rest assured, ladies and gentlemen, tall Kevin, all of you out there that are hearing this, you are the ones who are hearing those silver trumpets that are calling us to the duty for our people. This is the spirit of the West, and there are going to be a great many out there. I mean, Dutton talks about that we have a lot of defective people, a lot of misfit people that wouldn't be alive today, but if it were not for the geniuses in our race that have provided atmospheres that would sustain them and their sires and their sires, whereas they would have died without the geniuses of our people providing those environments for them. And as a consequence, many of those folks, regrettable to say, are not going to be able to hear the silver trumpets of the spirit of the West. So I want you all to think about yourself, Kevin, especially right now. Think about yourself as someone truly special, because you were able to hear that calling, and now you're able to continue to move down that path. That says something very important about every single one of you, that puts you head and shoulders above those who are unable to hear. Those who you see these channels, YouTube channels and the like, where people are giggling away at some of the most asinine, useless stuff on planet Earth. Those poor folks are degenerates, they're misfits. Many of them, some of them can be saved, and we will redeem them, but many of them are just simply misfits. They would not exist today if it weren't for the geniuses of our race. And so says something mighty and beautiful about all of you. So thank you so much, Kevin, for calling in, and happy Easter to you, brother.
Yeah, you too. Happy Easter, and you and everybody else in the chat. Happy Easter as well, and happy Passover, I guess. I don't know if anybody celebrates that, but you never know.
Right.
For the people listening, not the other people.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Well,
right.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye. See you, man.
Bye-bye. What a magnificent day, ladies and gentlemen. We are absolutely growing. Looks like just about 10 minutes over, so we did well today, but we are going to nip it in the bud right there and wrap things up. Big thank you to Ray for moderating, and was Seaver here earlier at some point, but thank you to Seaver if he was. Greek American asks, can I make clips of the stream and post on my channel? You absolutely can. I hope you will. That would be magnificent way to spread the message of going free and white well-being, something that is, as Kevin was just talking about, as White Rider was just talking about, things that make a difference in folks' lives. I want you to think about for a second about White Rider, and I want you to think about for a second as I look quickly and refresh these to see if we have any final things to take a look at. I want you to think quickly about Kevin and White Rider. What would their scenarios have been like if instead of applying the teachings here in Going Free, it is a program, it is a doctrine, it is a workbook, And if they, instead of applying those things, the lexicon, the dialectics, had decided to try to cite data to those around them. What if White Rider had decided, well, let me just tell this guy about Friedrich Nietzsche and why XYZ, how somehow it connects to today. Would White Rider have won that conversation? Would this business owner or whatever he was, would he have chased after him saying, apologies, let me grovel to you now? How much power do you feel now when instead of you having to grovel at the feet of some anti-white, be it white or non-white, that they come to you? They're not going to come to you to grovel when you say, let me cite the data because we're ultimately right. They're not going to come to grovel to you when you say, let me tell you about Friedrich Nietzsche and Kant and the connection to the taking logic to its conclusion or whatever. They're not going to come groveling on those. Now, all of that stuff is needed. All of that stuff is needed to bolster what we do. All of that stuff, the endless talking about politics and politicking and what are the politicians doing and all of that stuff is needed. And there are lots of people out there who do it magnificently, and we can imbibe their material all day long. It's all important. It's all needed. But there's something that's more important, and it needs to be getting a lot more tread on these wheels. And that is a formula that will enable you to win. That is what we need to do, ladies and gentlemen. Southern Bloom is here. I think the great Poseidon is here as well. I thought I saw the name go by. If he is, make sure that the great Poseidon, our dear brother, shares his links. Nobody puts on a better show. You talk about a white pill party. You want to head on over there to Poseidon, and he'll give you great stories from around the world. And while music is playing and beautiful women are dancing on the screen, everything that will piss off an anti-white, why not participate, right? Let's see. We have Blue-Eyed Bear, who financially gifted. Wow. Thank you so very much. Financially gifted over here on Cash App. 50 Easter Protect Our White Baby dollars. Thank you so much, Blue-Eyed Bear. Thank you. And especially since we have been reduced, I think we'll be able to have entropy up for tap, which will be coming up at 7 or maybe just after 7 as I'm running a little late. But we'll have entropy up there. But as you all can see, the means by which we are able to receive financial gifts is being reduced. And I have to get back to work on that since I've been busy in other parts of service to White Wellbeing. But we'll get the platforms back up and running there. But Blue-Eyed Bear, every single one of those dollars is dearly needed for White Wellbeing, and I deeply appreciate it. And we also had the great Slots, who never misses a day. Slots coming in with a $3 financial gift over here on Cash App as well. Both of these great participants in the white positive sphere saying everything that needs to be said to the anti-whites. Thank you both. Let me slide down through this chat over here on the gardening channel. I cannot see the chat on the discipline channel at the moment. Things are kind of up in the air, as you might imagine, things being moved around. Somebody asked what the strike was for. One more time, I just say that the strike was because I declared myself, or at least as best as we can tell, declared myself coronavirus free at the end of my 14-day quarantine. And they gave me a strike for deceptive, whatever you call it. And I immediately appealed, and they immediately, within minutes, denied, which meant that no person looked at it. It was just automation. And so that was the end of that. I can't stream or upload videos for 1 week to No White Guilt channel, but we'll be back next week. Ursa Major says, NWG, Malkin is not above criticism, but I would take her over quite a few white women I have known. Yes, every anti-white white woman out there, absolutely. Who I agree completely with that. She said, and the quote that she said in her interview with Lana, I encourage you to watch it and to subscribe to their website to get their material behind the paywall, is that there's nothing wrong. This is what Michelle Malkin said. There's nothing wrong with advocating for the historical ethnic balance of the United States. Now, that's very meaningful for us. And if she sticks with that position, then she will always, she'll always be considered a friend to white well-being. She will never, and doesn't matter how much a non-white person supports white well-being. It doesn't matter how great they are. It doesn't matter how much I personally like them. If I come to know them and I think they're the greatest people ever, and they espouse nothing but white well-being everywhere they go, they cannot be a leader for the recapturing of our destiny. It is a sickness that would put even such a wonderful person up in front of us as one of our leaders. That sends a message to our young. It sends, we could talk about it at length at some other time. I'm definitely running out of time now. But we can have these people, they can come and they can speak and we can interview them. And we want to do those things. And we love them, every single one of them. There aren't nearly enough non-white people who support white well-being, but they will never be a leader in the white positive sphere, at least in service to white well-being, if I have anything to do with it. Those who would put a non-white person up as leader, either a functional leader as the head of an organization, or a thought leader, either scenario, anybody who would elevate that person is every bit as much of a problem as that non-white person being a leader of white well-being. Those individuals who would elevate such a person are demonstrating a deep anti-white sickness in them. They're demonstrating their mean pathogens, their white noir. They're demonstrating a great many things that we can talk about in the future. We can break it down further because it is quite a sickness that would say, we want to survive. We want to stand up for Western kind. We want to recapture our destiny. We want to reign over our own lives and the countries that we create. We want to control the future for our children, and then would install a non-white person to achieve those ends. It's been wonderful spending this time with you. I'll be back in about 20 minutes with the great Jared George on a special episode of a TAP, an Easter episode on TAP. And let's go free, ladies and gentlemen.